In a universe where trust is fragile and danger lurks behind every star, a battered spaceship drifts on the edge of destruction, its crew fighting against impossible odds. When mysterious alien allies appear just in time to save them, hope flickers anew. But can they truly be trusted? As chaos erupts and the ship teeters on the brink of collapse, secrets surface that could change everything. Will these strangers become salvation or unleash a new nightmare? Prepare for a thrilling adventure through the shadows of space, where survival depends on courage, deception, and the unbreakable will to find the truth before time runs out. Please wait. Before we start, tap that iCard button in the top right corner and smash that subscribe button. Right now, hit the notification bell so you're first in line when new stories land. Alright, let's dive into the story. The bridge was thick with an uneasy silence, broken only by the faint hum of failing systems and the rapid blinking of warning lights. Navigator Zilix's tendrils twitched nervously as he stared at the glowing sensor readouts, each one flickering erratically like the heartbeat of a dying creature. His voice was a whisper, but it carried a tremor of disbelief that made even the most seasoned crew members pause. "Humans? Coming here?" he muttered, voice barely audible, yet filled with incredulous shock. His 4 eyes blinked in rapid succession, an unmistakable sign of his rising anxiety. The captain, Captain Vine, responded with a calm that masked her concern, but her eyes betrayed her stress. "That's what the transmission said," she replied, voice steady but edged with tension. Her mandibles clicked softly, a sign of her species' subtle way of processing stress. The crew's collective gaze shifted to the main console, where the faint flicker of the SOS message still played back. The Calarians, evolved to survive in environments that would liquefy most other species, had sent out a desperate plea for help from a moon spiraling toward disaster. The message had been frantic and chaotic, just enough for the Calarian crew to realize the severity of their predicament. But now, what was approaching wasn't the rescue they'd hoped for. Zilix's tendrils coiled tightly against his thorax as he listened to the calm chatter. The ship's sensors had just confirmed it. An alien vessel was closing in, fast. The readout identified it as the human ship called the Relentless. The name itself struck a nerve. It sounded more like a predator stalking its prey than a rescue vessel. "Well," Zilix said with a dry, sardonic tone. "Rescue, right? Because nothing screams peaceful like a ship named the Relentless." His voice dripped with sarcasm, but beneath it, a flicker of dread. "Diplomatic vessel," Captain Vine repeated, voice clipped, trying to sound reassuring despite her rapid blinking. "Not a warship. They're here to help." She paused, glancing at the tactical hologram. "They insisted it was the closest ship available and capable of reaching us in time." Zilix snorted. "That's comforting. A rescue ship designed to respond to emergencies across species with biochemistries we haven't even begun to understand. And they're sending it here, fast, because they're running out of time." His antennae twitched involuntarily. Did anyone think to mention that it's a warship? Or that it's called the Relentless? Nick, the communications officer, spun her chair around with a gleeful pulse of bioluminescence that made her spots flicker excitedly. "Actually, according to the transmission, they're sending a ship called the Relentless. It's a rescue vessel, they say." Her voice was bright, almost chipper, an odd contrast to the grim situation. Vine's outer eyes blinked in surprise. "That doesn't sound very diplomatic," she muttered, her mandibles clicking again. "Rescue or not, it's not exactly reassuring when the ship's name sounds like a predator." Zilix let out a sharp snort, his voice tinged with dark humor. "I'd prefer we all just stay on the ship and wait for bureaucrats to fill out paperwork while this moon turns to dust." His eyes flickered with a mix of sarcasm and growing unease. The warning lights and alarms continued their relentless chorus, flashing and blaring, a cacophony of impending doom. The system's emergency failsafes flickered like ghostly apparitions, struggling to keep the ship's fragile environment intact. The crew's tense preparations were underway, each member focused on their task, knowing full well that the approaching vessel could mean salvation or disaster. Suddenly, The comm crackled to life with a burst of static, and a new voice broke through. A voice that carried authority and calm yet underlying urgency. "This is Commander Alex Volkov of the Earth Emergency Response Vessel Relentless. We received your distress signal, Captain. We're here to assist." Vine straightened, her 4 eyes blinking rapidly. She pressed her limbs together in a sign of respect, trying to hide her concern behind professionalism. "Commander Volkov, your arrival is most appreciated. Our situation has grown dire. We're running out of time." The view screen flickered, and the image of the human commander appeared. Tall, broad-shouldered, with a face that looked like it had seen too much but still held a spark of determination. His eyes, sharp and predator-like, scanned the viewport as if assessing the threat level of everything in sight. "We carry modular systems capable of withstanding your biochemistry," Volkov said, voice steady and reassuring. "We're prepared for anything. Expect the best, but prepare for the worst." Zilix's tendrils twitched with a mixture of wariness and reluctant admiration. "You just happen to have all that equipment on hand?" he asked skeptically. Volkov's gaze was unwavering. "The Relentless is designed for emergencies, across species, environments, and threats you wouldn't believe. We're always ready." Pause. Then, with a hint of a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes, the human added, "Sometimes, monsters are exactly what you need when death calls." The crew sprang into action, knowing that the coming hours could decide the fate of the colony, and perhaps the very survival of their species. The countdown had begun. 6 rotations. That's all they had before the approaching vessel would be upon them. On the bridge, the tension was palpable, thick enough to cut with a blade. Sensors blipped and flickered erratically, as if struggling to keep up with the frantic pace of the approaching threat. Captain Vine stood rigid, her 4 eyes blinking rapidly, trying to make sense of the chaotic data streaming across the holographic displays. Her voice was steady but tight with worry. "They're coming faster than anticipated," she murmured, almost to herself. 2 rotations instead of 6. That's impossible." Zilix, the nervous navigator, leaned over his console, tendrils twitching with agitation. "They're taking a shortcut," he said, voice tinged with disbelief. "How? No ship should be able to cut through space that quickly. Even the Relentless." His eyes flicked toward the tactical readouts, which showed the approaching vessel's rapid closing speed. "It's something else." Nick, the communications officer, spun her chair around with an excited flicker of her bioluminescent spots. "Hey, look at this," she said, voice brimming with energy. "The transmission just updated. They're calling themselves the Earth Emergency Response Vessel Relentless. They're sending a rescue team and, get this, they're arriving in only 2 rotations now." Her voice was practically bouncing with enthusiasm as if the news was a victory. Vine stepped closer, her mandibles clicking softly. "That's surprising," she admitted, her voice measured but laced with caution. 2 rotations? That's cutting it dangerously close. Are they even capable of such speed? Capable? Zilix snorted, his tendrils curling in suspicion. "The humans are always capable of surprising us, Captain. But this feels like they're rushing in. Like they know something we don't." His voice carried a mixture of awe and concern. "Or maybe they're just that desperate." The alarms blared again, a shrill warning echoing through the ship. The systems struggled to stay online, flickering with the relentless pressure of impending disaster. The crew scrambled, running diagnostics, securing what they could, knowing every second counted. The ship's failing life support systems cast eerie shadows across the control room, making every movement tense and deliberate. Suddenly, the comm crackled with static, and a voice broke through, calm, commanding, yet tinged with urgency. "This is Commander Alex Volkov of the Earth Emergency Response Vessel Relentless. We received your distress signal, Captain. We're en route to assist." Vine's 4 eyes blinked rapidly as she moved to respond. "Commander Volkov, your arrival is most appreciated," she said, voice steady but strained. "Our situation is critical. We're running out of time." The screen flickered, and the face of a tall, broad-shouldered human appeared, marked by a look of unwavering focus, eyes sharp as a predator's, scanning the viewport like he was already sizing up the threat. "We carry modular systems capable of handling your biochemistry," Volkov said, his tone firm. "We're prepared for anything. Expect the best, but prepare for the worst." Zilix raised an eyebrow, skepticism evident in his expression. "Just like that? You've got everything they might need?" he asked, voice dripping with sarcasm. Volkov's gaze didn't waver. "The Relentless is built for emergencies, across species, environments, and threats you wouldn't believe. We're always ready." His words carried a strange confidence, almost a warning. Sometimes, monsters are exactly what you need when death is knocking at the door. As the crew listened, a collective resolve settled over them. They knew the coming hours would test every ounce of their strength, ingenuity, and courage. The countdown had begun, and the approaching ship's shadow cast a dark pall over their hopes. Every second that ticked by brought them closer to the unknown, either salvation or doom, and they had no choice but to brace themselves for what was coming. The tension on the bridge was almost unbearable as the crew watched the approaching vessel grow larger on the view screen, a hulking silhouette cutting through the void with relentless purpose. Captain Vine's eyes darted across the readouts, trying to keep her composure, but even her calm exterior was cracking under the mounting pressure. "They're almost here," she said softly, voice taut with anticipation. 2 minutes, maybe less. Everyone stay alert. This could get messy." Zilix, nervously twisting one of his tendrils around his finger, glanced at the crew members around him. "Messy?" he echoed, voice trembling slightly. "You think they're just coming in for a friendly chat? No way. I've got a bad feeling about this. The humans. They don't just show up with shiny gadgets. They come prepared for war." His eyes flashed with suspicion. "And that name, the Relentless, doesn't exactly scream peaceful." Nick, the ever-enthusiastic communications officer, leaned closer to her console, her bioluminescent spots flickering rapidly as she monitored incoming data. "Captain, the humans are calling it a rescue, but from what I can tell, they're armed to the teeth. Looks like they're ready for a fight if they need to be. But hey, at least they're here," she said with a grin that didn't quite reach her eyes. "Maybe they're just the shiny knights we need right now." Vine's mandibles clicked softly, a sign of her trying to keep her nerves in check. "We'll see," she replied cautiously. "Let's hope they're here to help and not just to assert dominance. We have enough problems without fighting a human ship." Her voice grew more serious. "Remember, everyone, stay sharp. We don't know their motives, and we can't afford any mistakes." Suddenly, the ship shuddered violently as a jolt rocked the entire vessel. The alarms blared anew, and the crew scrambled to stabilize their stations. The ship's systems flickered, struggling against the strain of the impending contact. A tense silence fell over the bridge, broken only by the crackling of the comm link. Then, a calm, authoritative voice broke through the static. "This is Commander Alex Volkov of the Earth Emergency Response Vessel Relentless. We received your distress signal, Captain. We're closing in now, and we're here to help." His tone was steady but carried an unmistakable sense of urgency. Vine's 4 eyes widened slightly as she responded, voice steady but strained. "Commander Volkov, your arrival is most welcome. Our situation has deteriorated rapidly. We're running out of time, and our systems are failing." On the view screen, the image of the human commander appeared, tall, broad-shouldered, with a face that bore the marks of many battles fought and won. His gaze was piercing, assessing everything as if already sizing up the threat level. "We carry modular systems capable of handling your biochemistry," he said, voice firm. "We're prepared for anything. Expect the best, but prepare for the worst." Zilix raised an eyebrow, a mixture of skepticism and cautious optimism. "They're confident," he muttered. "Too confident, like they've seen this kind of chaos before." His tendrils curled tightly as he watched the approaching ship. "And I don't like that feeling one bit." Vine nodded slowly, her voice calm but resolute. "We have no choice but to trust them. We're running out of options." Whatever they bring, it's our best shot." Her voice wavered slightly with a hint of determination. "Let's hope their relentless lives up to its name." As the ship drew closer, the crew prepared themselves for what might come next. Every second ticking away was a reminder that their fate, and perhaps that of the entire colony, rested on the shoulders of these humans. The countdown was nearing its end, and the atmosphere was thick with anticipation, fear, and a flicker of hope. Whatever lay ahead, they knew they had to face it together. The moment the Relentless finally docked with the struggling ship, a wave of relief mixed with apprehension swept through the crew. The docking bay hissed open, and a team of humans in sleek, armored suits stepped out, their movements precise and confident, as if they had already seen this kind of chaos before. Captain Vine's eyes narrowed as she watched them approach, her mandibles clicking softly in concern. "Remember," she warned her crew, voice steady but cautious, "they're here to help, but we don't know their full intentions. Keep your guard up." Zilix, visibly tense, hissed softly. "They look like they mean business," he muttered, eyeing the humans with suspicion. "And did you see the way that one Volkov carried himself? Like he's already fought a dozen battles and is ready for more." His tendrils twitched anxiously. "We'd better be careful. They might be the only hope now, but that doesn't mean they're entirely trustworthy." Nick, still bouncing with nervous energy, leaned closer to the comm panel, her bioluminescent spots flickering wildly. "You guys, I've got a good feeling about this," she chirped. "The commander seems serious but focused. He's not here to mess around. Honestly, I think they're just as desperate as we are, if not more, considering how fast they came. Maybe they've got some secret techniques or tech we don't even know about." Her voice was hopeful, almost excited, but there was a flicker of doubt behind her words. Vine took a deep breath, trying to steady her nerves. "Let's hope you're right, Nick," she said quietly. "But stay alert. We're not out of the woods yet. We've got to work together quickly and efficiently. We're running out of time, and I'm not about to let this turn into a disaster because of misplaced trust." Her voice carried authority, but her mandibles clicked with underlying tension. Suddenly, the ship shook again, this time more violently, and alarms blared throughout the docking bay. Sparks flew from some consoles, and the crew scrambled to stabilize the station. The entire ship seemed to shudder as if caught in the grip of an unseen beast. The humans moved swiftly, securing their equipment and pulling out small, glowing devices. Their leader, Volkov, stepped forward, his face serious as he signaled to his team. "Vine, this is Volkov," he said into the communicator, voice calm but commanding. "We're here and ready to deploy systems. We'll do everything we can to stabilize your ship. Hang tight, we've got your back." His tone was reassuring but carried an unspoken promise of action. Vine responded, her voice steady despite the chaos. "Commander Volkov, your presence is a relief. Our systems are failing rapidly, and we're close to losing life support. We need your help now. Please hurry." Volkov nodded, his expression grim. "We're on it," he said. "Our tech is modular and adaptable. We've faced worse situations. Just show us where it hurts, and we'll fix it." His team moved with purpose, deploying portable repair units and biocompatible modules designed to interface with alien systems. Zilix watched in awe, his tendrils twitching with a mix of fear and admiration. "They're not just coming in with guns," he whispered. "They're here with tools, like they're ready to patch us up and send us on our way. Maybe they're not the enemy after all." Vine's eyes flicked to the humans as they worked. "We've got no choice but to trust them," she said softly. "If they can save us, then so be it. But if they try to take control or turn this into something darker, then we'll be ready." Her voice was firm, but beneath it, a flicker of hope shone through. As the humans hurried to stabilize their battered vessel, the crew knew one thing for certain. This alliance, fragile as it was, might just be their last hope for survival. And in that moment, every second felt like a gamble, a test of trust, resilience, and courage. The hum of machinery and the hurried footsteps filled the air as the crew worked tirelessly to stabilize their battered ship, the tension thick enough to cut with a blade. The humans, led by Volkov, moved swiftly, their expert hands deploying repair modules and interfacing with the alien systems with practiced precision. Captain Vine watched from the command deck, her eyes flickering with a mixture of hope and suspicion. She knew that every second counted now. If they didn't repair the critical systems quickly, all could be lost. Zilix, nervously wringing his tendrils, glanced nervously at the human engineers. "You really think these tech whizzes can fix this mess?" he whispered half to himself. "They look like they've fought battles, sure, but this is a disaster." His voice trembled with frustration and uncertainty. What if they can't do it in time? What if we're just delaying the inevitable? Nick, bouncing on her feet with a mixture of excitement and anxiety, clutched her console tightly. "Come on, guys. They're good. I mean, look at how fast they're working. They know what they're doing. We've got a shot, just a slim one, but a shot nonetheless. Maybe this is what we needed all along. Some outside help instead of trying to do everything ourselves." Her voice was optimistic, but the tremor of fear was evident in her tone. Vine raised a single mandible in a gesture of caution. "Nick's right about one thing," she said carefully. "They're capable and they're trying their best. But trust is a fragile thing right now. We've seen what happens when allies turn out to be enemies in disguise. Stay alert, everyone. We cannot afford to relax, not even for a second." Her voice carried authority, but beneath it, a flicker of doubt crept in. Suddenly, the ship lurched again, a violent shudder that made the crew stagger in their stations. Sparks flew from damaged consoles, and alarms blared across the deck. The systems that had been stabilizing now threatened to fail. The crew fought to keep everything from spiraling into chaos, their efforts frantic and desperate. Volkov's voice cut through the chaos, calm but commanding. "Vine, we're almost there. We've activated the main repair array. Stand by, we're about to make a difference." His tone was reassuring, but there was an underlying intensity that hinted at the stakes. His team worked tirelessly, connecting biocompatible modules to the ship's core, their movements precise and deliberate. Vine responded, her voice tense but steady. "We're counting on you, Commander. Do everything you can. Our lives depend on it." Her eyes flicked to the flickering consoles, praying that their fragile hope would hold. As the repair efforts intensified, Zilix squinted at the scene, trying to process what he was witnessing. "They're like surgeons," he muttered, "cutting into the wounds of our ship, stitching us back together. Maybe they're not so bad after all." His tendrils curled with cautious curiosity. "I just hope their tech is as good as they say, or we're doomed." Nick leaned forward, her eyes shining with a mix of admiration and hope. "They're doing everything they can. Look at them. They're like a team of expert healers. We're lucky they showed up when they did. If they can fix this, maybe we've got a future after all." Her voice was filled with cautious optimism, though she knew deep down that time was running out. Vine watched as the human engineers worked with relentless focus, their faces grim but determined. "We owe them everything," she murmured. "This might be our last chance." As the ship's core stabilized and the alarms finally died down to a faint hum, a fragile silence settled over the deck. Everyone knew the battle wasn't over yet, but for the first time in a long while, hope flickered brightly amidst the chaos. They had allies now, strangers, but perhaps saviors, and that realization was both a relief and a reminder of how precariously their future hung in the balance. The tension in the ship's main hall was palpable as the crew gathered around, their faces illuminated by the flickering glow of the repaired consoles. The sense of victory was tinged with lingering unease. They had managed to stabilize the ship, but the danger was far from over. Captain Vine stepped forward, her 4 eyes scanning the gathered crew with a mix of relief and resolve. "Everyone, listen up," she commanded, voice steady but firm. "We've bought ourselves some time, but the real challenge begins now. We need to figure out what these aliens want, what their true intentions are, because I don't trust that they're here just to help us out of kindness." Zilix, still visibly jittery, raised a tendril. "You think they're hiding something? Like a secret agenda? I told you they look like warriors, sure, but warriors with secrets. Maybe they've got their reasons for helping us, or maybe they're just waiting for the right moment to strike. His voice was edged with suspicion, the uncertainty clear in his eyes. We should be cautious. We can't just blindly trust them, no matter how much they seem to be on our side right now. Nick, bouncing excitedly, waved her arms for attention. I get what you're saying, Zilix, but can't you feel it? They're not just here to fix our ship. They're trying to help us survive. You saw how fast they worked, how serious they were about saving us. I think they're as desperate as we are. Probably more, considering everything they've been through. Her eyes sparkled with hope, but a flicker of doubt also lingered. Maybe they're from a galaxy of enemies and allies just like us. But right now, we need their help. We're all in this mess together, whether we like it or not. Vine stepped closer, her mandibles clicking softly as she processed Nick's words. Maybe you're right, Nick, she said cautiously. But trust is fragile, especially in times like these. We've seen what happens when allies turn out to be enemies. We need to keep our eyes open, be ready for anything. We can't afford to let our guard down, not even for a second. Her voice carried authority, but beneath that, a hint of vulnerability lurked. She knew that, in their desperate situation, trust could be a double-edged sword. Suddenly, a deep, resonant alarm blared through the corridors, causing everyone to jump. The ship shook violently, more than before, as if something unseen was trying to tear them apart. Sparks erupted from conduits, and systems flickered erratically. The crew scrambled to control the chaos, shouting orders and working frantically to prevent total collapse. The tension escalated as the ship's vital systems flickered on the brink of failure, threatening to plunge them into darkness. Volkov's voice cut through the cacophony. Vine, we're nearly finished. The main repair modules are in place. Just hold on. We're about to stabilize everything. His tone was calm but urgent, his words like a lifeline amid the chaos. His team moved rapidly, deploying biocompatible tech and interfaces designed to reinforce the damaged systems. The crew watched anxiously, hoping their efforts would be enough. Vine responded with a strained but hopeful tone. We're counting on you, Commander. Do whatever it takes, we're running out of time. Her eyes darted between the flickering consoles and the flickering hope in her heart. She knew that if the repairs held, they might just have a chance to turn the tide. Zilix, peering at the scene with a mixture of awe and dread, muttered, "They're like tech surgeons, slicing into the heart of our problems and stitching us back together. Maybe they're more than just enemies or allies. They're the only hope we've got left." His tendrils curled anxiously as he watched the alien engineers work with precision. Nick, her face lit up with a determined smile, said softly, "They're doing everything they can, like a team of expert healers. We're lucky they showed up when they did. If they can fix this mess, maybe we've got a shot at a future after all." Her voice was filled with cautious optimism, though she knew deep down that the clock was ticking. Vine looked at the humans working tirelessly, her expression a mixture of gratitude and unease. "We owe them everything," she whispered. "This might be our last chance." As the final systems flickered back to life and the alarms finally died down, a fragile silence settled over the ship, an uneasy calm after the storm. Though victory was within reach, everyone knew that the true test was still ahead. With their new allies fighting alongside them, the crew felt a renewed spark of hope amidst the wreckage, knowing that their survival depended on trust, courage, and the will to fight another day. The ship's corridors hummed softly now, a stark contrast to the chaos just moments before. The crew moved with a renewed sense of purpose, their faces tired but hopeful. The alien engineers, their strange but efficient tools humming softly as they finished the last of the repairs, looked almost satisfied, like doctors who had just saved a patient from the brink of death. Captain Vine stood at the center of it all, her posture relaxed but her eyes sharp, scanning every detail. She felt the weight of their narrow escape pressing down on her shoulders, but also a flicker of hope that maybe, just maybe, they'd turned a corner. Nick, breathless and beaming, clapped her hands together. "Wow, did you see that? They really did it. We're alive. Can you believe it?" Her voice was full of excitement, almost disbelief. She looked around at the crew and the alien technicians. This is like some sci-fi movie, but better because it's real. We owe these guys big time. Her grin stretched wide, and she threw a thumbs up at one of the aliens, who responded with a curious, almost amused nod. Zilix crossed his arms, looking skeptical but undeniably impressed. "I'll admit, they're good," he muttered, voice tinged with reluctant respect. "But I still don't trust them completely. Just because they fixed the ship doesn't mean they're done with us. We need to stay alert. They might be hiding something, maybe even waiting for the perfect moment to turn on us." His tendrils twitched anxiously as he spoke, eyes flickering with suspicion. Nick rolled her eyes playfully. "Oh, come on, Zilix. Lighten up. They've been nothing but helpful. Maybe they're just as eager to get out of here as we are. Who knows? Maybe they're just tired of fighting their own battles and saw a ship in trouble and decided to lend a hand. Don't overthink it." She nudged him teasingly, her enthusiasm infectious. "Besides, if they wanted to betray us, they had plenty of chances already and didn't. That's gotta count for something, right?" Vine stepped forward, her voice calm but firm. "Nick's right about one thing, trust is fragile. But so is hope. We've come too far to throw it all away now. We need to focus on the future, not the what-ifs. We're alive, and that's what matters." Her eyes scanned the crew, her leadership shining through her words. "We'll keep our guard up, but for now, let's concentrate on making sure we're ready for whatever comes next. We've survived hell. Let's not forget that." Suddenly, the ship shuddered again, a low rumble that vibrated through the floor beneath their feet. The alarms blared once more, shrill and urgent, as systems flickered erratically. The crew jumped into action, rushing to stabilize the ship's core, their hands flying over consoles, shouting instructions. Sparks flew from damaged panels, and the flickering lights cast ominous shadows. Fear flickered in some eyes, but determination shone brighter. They all knew that the danger wasn't fully behind them yet. Volkov's voice boomed over the chaos. "We've got it stabilized. The core's holding, but we need to move fast. Getting out of this sector is our priority now." His tone was commanding, but there was a hint of relief behind his words. His team worked at lightning speed, deploying last-minute tech to reinforce the ship's weakened systems. The crew watched anxiously, knowing that every second counted. Vine, her voice steady despite the turmoil, responded, "Good work, Commander. Let's keep it that way. We're not out of the woods yet, but we're still fighting. And as long as we're fighting, there's hope." Her words echoed in their minds, words of resilience, of survival. They knew the next step was uncertain, dangerous even, but they also knew they had allies now. Strangers who had become heroes in the blink of an eye. Zilix looked around, his tendrils curling thoughtfully. "They're not just tech experts," he muttered. "They're like healers, stitching us back together, making us stronger. Maybe they're more than enemies or allies. They're the reason we're still here." His voice carried a strange mixture of admiration and cautious optimism. Nick, her face glowing with fierce determination, said softly, "Whatever comes next, we're ready. We've got a second chance, and I say we grab it with both hands. We're alive, and that's a miracle." She paused, eyes shining. "Let's just hope that miracle holds long enough for us to find a way home." Vine looked at her crew, her heart swelling with a mixture of pride and hope. "We'll take it one step at a time," she whispered. "But I believe in all of us. We're stronger together, more than just survivors. We're fighters, and we're not giving up just yet." The ship's engines hummed softly as they prepared to leave the perilous sector behind, carrying with them the scars of battle, but also the hope of a new dawn. Whatever awaited in the dark beyond, they would face it, together. And that was the end of the story. Comment below if you want the next chapter, and hit that like button. Please subscribe, turn on the bell, and as always, keep the last light burning.